Hey, boo, if you have ever been feeling like you were caught between when to surrender in your imagination to the state of the wish fulfilled and when to persist, and can they be done at the same time? Are they two separate actions? What is really happening? And you start to feel that you are at the center of this conflict and caught in the crossfire. And if that's been you, then stick around because this video is for you. This came to me to discuss when one of the participants in a recent mini course that I did, based on Neville's book, Feeling is the Secret, asked that very question. She said, I'm wanting to manifest happy, loving wife and mother, but it's confusing. She really was confused about when to persist and have what she called dogged determination and how to surrender. But really, they're all part of a whole. And that whole is consciousness. I am. Awareness of being is God. I am as the operant power, and that is you operating the law of assumption. So it feels like a bunch of pieces that have to fall into place. And we begin to wonder, am I doing it right? Why am I not getting what I want? And the first thing is to let go of any impatience around it, because after all, you already have it. And it's only when we're hesitant about maintaining the feeling. And by the way, the course that I was giving based on Neville's book is called Embodying the Feeling. And if you would be interested in taking it with me in the future, drop a yes in the comments below. In the feeling that we want, we do surrender to the state. We're basically giving up that sense of trying to manipulate or control. And that's an internal control of worrying about how things are going to turn out when all the what ifs show up, when all the doubts and the anxieties and the fears show up. And being able to know that you deserve what it is you desire. And after all, desires are direct from God. God speaks to us through our desires, as Neville Goddard said so wonderfully. This is how we even imagine having them in the first place. This is what brings that particular desire into your thoughts. So when it comes in a sense, there already is an element of surrendering, of giving up resistance, because at some point the desire is going to be like, it's like when you want, say, a Gatorade, a hydration, you're just kind of craving it, or you want some kind of coffee drink, you're craving it, and it becomes really an urge, a necessity that's important, that you want to give yourself over to it. And it might be a important cause in your life. It might be something you're particularly devoted to seeing through. That can also be part of something you want to manifest, meaning bring forth, which is what manifest literally means, to give life to bring forth. So the idea of surrender is giving up resistance and allowing. And in the allowing, anything that is feeling like less than deserving of it, or less than being able to use that state to benefit and bless others as well as yourself. And anything in opposition to that starts to fall away as you allow the desire to move through you. So it can move from your imagination to become alive in the world, to become alive in your external experience. So that aspect of it is where you're kind of surrendered. It is that giving yourself up to the highest. It's not so much that kind of I surrender, raise the white flag, I give up. That's kind of usually comes out of there's no place left to turn, I have no other options, I surrender. And very often that too is when exactly what we want comes to us, because we all the resistance in the mind really has fallen away at that point. It's very interesting how when we sometimes feel there's no other option, that is that point of letting go. And it's very often that deep awakening happens when the mind feels it absolutely has no other advantage points. There's nothing it can think, because the mind can't think about itself. And it has to just drop out of the picture so that the real stuff is happening and moving from imagination through feeling out into your experience. So that feeling of surrender, yeah, that has that sort of softness to it, that releasing feeling, that letting go. And if we're then talking about being determined and persisting, that sounds like, tramp, 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 marching forward. The troops are marching. It has that very solid boots on the ground determination kind of, that's the feeling of determination. And at the same time you can have it, you can just maintain that feeling of determination. Simply means not letting anything sway you. That's really what it comes from. If you're determined, say you're determined to make a wonderful dessert, it might be the first time you've made a creme brulee or a strawberry shortcake or an amazing death by chocolate cake or something like that. And you may have tried it a few times and it didn't work out so great, but you were nonetheless determined to make a phenomenal death by chocolate. And because you imagined that death by chocolate, that you're bringing it out on a platter and it's dessert and everybody applauds and like it's wow, because that is a feeling that you are surrendered to. So the determination gets woven into it. But Neville called it, he didn't call it dogged determination. That sounds like there is an element of forcing. This is what the person in the course described it as, dogged determination. But it's not that kind of determination. Neville has used the word sublime determination. And that's so beautiful. It's a feeling of when something is sublime, it is so elevated, it's uplifted. And he mentioned that the context where he mentioned that was when he was talking, when somebody would say to him, I really want to manifest, say they wanted a lot of wealth, and they wanted this money or this wonderful home, or they wanted to live in another part of the country or the world, but they were somehow afraid that in having their wonderful thing, or their car or whatever it was, that they could not do it. They were afraid to even imagine their desire, because what if somebody was hurt or injured? Somebody that they loved would be hurt or injured or even dead because of something they wanted, that they would feel so responsible. And Neville responded to that by saying that the unseen reality, the greater self, has ways we know not of when they bring others, including our loved ones, into the picture or out of the picture, playing their role. So he said, do not be concerned for the other. And he said, maintain a sublime spirit of determination. Now, you might say, well, How could Neville say that? So callous. But really, Neville understood that each person is on a path, and being on that path are here to play a certain role. We don't even always know what that role is in relation to us. Sometimes it helps us to begin something, to maintain something, or to conclude something. And if that sounds a little familiar, think of in Hinduism, this is the trinity of Hinduism. Brahma the creator, Vishnu the sustainer, and Shiva the destroyer. This is the nature of everything. We even see this in practicing yoga, that when you're getting into a yoga pose, you are, in a sense, generating it. You're giving it life. This is exactly like manifesting a state, and from a state. And then you are holding the pose for 5 breaths, or maybe for 5 minutes, whatever type of yoga you're doing, and you are sustaining it. And then you leave the pose and move on to the next, and you have completed it. It's, in a sense, destroyed. It's like a continuation of even impermanence. You could take it even out to that level. And if you think of Buddhist monks who would make mandalas, beautifully colored sand mandalas, and spend many hours laboring over it. And then after they completed it, they would erase it, let it go. So Neville understood, in his own way, as a mystic of Christianity who interpreted the Bible as states of consciousness, that anyone coming into your life, being in your life, out of your life, as they say, a reason, a season, or a lifetime, it's the same thing. Now, how does that play in? It plays into whether you're persisting or not, whether you're afraid to even have a desire. And that's why the phrase came up, for the good of all. May my desire be manifested for the good of all concerned. But it's knowing that the good of all concerned may not be the good we think it might be. It's going to be for their good, whatever that is, on a level of pure consciousness. So again, that's like, that fear of it is another kind of crossfire that we can get caught up in and get freaked out over. But Neville said the sublime spirit. So we don't want to be too dogged about it, because the feeling of being dogged rather than sublime is a feeling of that it's hard, that it's labor, that it's the same kind of feeling as, I want to get out of bed, I'm going to hit the snooze alarm, but no, I got to make it, I got to have the coffee and get going and get to work. But the idea of manifesting is meant to be on the level of play, the cosmic play. It's not meant to be a chore, a task. It's meant to be easy, light. This is surrender. This is also the nature of surrender, and fun also. There's something that you can laugh in relation to when things maybe don't go quite the way you thought they were going to go. And so persistence means that when you've chosen your desired state and imagined your desire and imagined a wonderful scene implying that you have it, that it's easy and that it feels natural. And that's the easiest kind of persistence. It may seem very foreign, very alien to imagine something natural when it's something you've never had or never felt you deserved. And that gets into the bigger issue, the hidden issue of deservingness. But that's all part of it, which makes it's knowing that by choosing it, you have it, and you well deserve it. You amply deserve it. It's yours. It's yours because you are the operant power. You are the radiant facet of the diamond that is God. And this is you. This is your beauty and your power and your energy all combined that brings you what you truly want, that blesses you and blesses others. Love you, boo. See you next time.